All right, guys, we're going to be continuing the part two of this meeting between Trump and the Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Jump in.
Now we're down to a beautiful number, 2%. You'd actually like to keep it there. Better than zero is 2%. It's going down maybe to 1, and 1% is like perfect. That's perfect. You don't want to have zero for certain reasons that nobody is very interested to listen to. But we have almost perfect inflation. Grocery prices are down. Everything. Remember eggs? We weren't going to buy another egg for the next 20 years. They were so expensive, right? Remember? You guys all hit me about eggs. Eggs have come down 400%. Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. But if you look at gasoline, very important. I think always the most important because it's the energy is the biggest factor. That's what happened. He screwed up our energy policy, and everything went up because energy went up. But now energy is way down, and they have states where you're at $1.98 a gallon for gasoline. So the costs have come way down, and one of the things I ran on was that. I ran on the border. We have the best border in the history of our country, 99.99%. It was last week, 3 people came in, 2 of them for medical reasons. We let them in because one of them had a heart attack.
Damn.
I think it was a nice thing to do, and one of them had something else. So we've never
I
had very good numbers.
That desert, the Mexico desert between the border, Texas, or in that region, that's all desert, right? And it can get to 115, 120, the worst, you know. It's bad. It's a bad area.
4 years, but we're really topped it. And I want to thank Christie and Tom Homan. They've done a fantastic job. But nobody mentions that anymore. Remember, a few months ago, the border was a total disaster. People were coming in by the hundreds of thousands of people a day, a week, a month. I mean, we had a month, 2 million people came in 1 month. The border was being overrun, and a lot of bad people, criminals, murderers, drug dealers. We had some of the worst people in the world coming in from all over the world. It's totally closed. And you know what? People are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up in campaign for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota. He's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy feels sorry for him.
Oh, hold up.
But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible.
That's not cool, yeah. What happens to him, that was not cool, man.
I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. Well, I can understand that, but he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next.
This guy's crazy,
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard, and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there, and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one.
The Oval Office is something
Chancellor,
else.
This is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months
Trump
ago.
is crazy, man.
A lot of good things are happening in this room.
My
And
comment
I'll
section's
tell
not
you,
gonna like this. Yo, I see. Hey, listen to me, man. I see a lot of Americans reacting to this. It's very clickbaity, man. Listen, bro. Like, I'll be honest, man. If I don't like what he has to say, I'm not gonna like it. But I'm not gonna be fake. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not here to pander. I'm here because you guys want my authentic reaction to these things. You know, this is my reaction to this. I'm not gonna just simply say, "Oh, my president is just dumb." Oh, the German president's dumb, or prime minister, chancellor is dumb. No, no, this is not it for this. You know, this is not the channel for this. It's the channel for people that want genuine connections and reactions. And so far, you know what he's saying? He's just doing politics right now. He's not doing anything. He's not really doing anything. He's just playing the room right now. You know, I'll say that if you want a genuine reaction, you're gonna get it, right? If you looking for me to bash the president of the United States out of the gate, that's not how I roll, right? I'm not gonna bash the president of the United States because you guys want me to bash him, right? That's not how it is.
he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly, and
they go crazy.
Some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is.
Amorosa.
It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending wars in this room, you were very critical of Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. What kind of play is he playing from your perspective? What are his...
Well, look, he got hit. He's been doing hitting, so I understand it. But he got hit hard, and I don't think he's playing games. I think I've always said he wanted the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
That's what he wanted. I'm sorry. A lot of people are saying, no, Putin only wanted like a half or the 3/4 of the country. No, bros, let's talk real. Putin wanted everything. That's his desires, right? He wanted the entire Ukraine, but Ukraine, got armed with Western weaponry, and they pushed back.
Wanted the entire everything having to do with Ukraine. That's something that would have never happened if I were president. The election was rigged. I didn't get to be president, but I got to be president now. And I think it's a much more important presidency. Other than a couple of things like that, the war would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
The war with Ukraine, with Putin, would have never happened, ever, not even a chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And it wasn't thought of. I used to talk to him about Ukraine a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but he would have never done what he did. And I think mistakes were made by him, but I think mistakes were made by other people. The president should have never allowed that war. Biden should have never allowed that war to happen. If you had the right guy in here, that war would have never happened. Israel would have never happened with Hamas. That would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They had no money to give to Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. And all of that would have never happened. Inflation wouldn't have happened. It was caused mostly by energy. And the Biden administration messed up my great energy policy. We were down into the 190 a gallon, and it would have never happened. It was caused by energy and their bad spending on the Green New Scam and other things that they spent on. But all of those things would have never happened. But maybe most importantly, the war, Chancellor, with Russia would never have happened with Ukraine. It was something that would have, I dealt with Putin a lot. There was no chance, zero. And a lot of people say, how do you know? For 4 years it didn't happen. There was never a chance of it happening. And he understood the consequences. Now,
it's a different situation.
It's a shame. I mean, when you see all of those people, they came out with a report today that millions of people have died.
Yo, guys, can you guys tell me what's the amount of people getting deleted as today? I cannot look for any reports. A lot of these reports are very, I don't know what's true or not. Let me know in the comment section below.
Much more than people thought. And I've been saying that for a long time. The amount of death in that war is far greater than the news has been reporting, or than, frankly, that either side has been reporting. It's a very sad thing. And I can tell you, just speaking for the Chancellor, because we speak about it, he feels the same way. He wants to see it ended. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. And I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end.
100%.
And may I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand.
Man, D-Day, man, those first soldiers that came in, man, wow, golly, can I imagine, man? They came in and they get blasted, bro. Imagine that you're gonna get out and you know that you are gonna get deleted. Oh man, I can't, bro. Shout out to those soldiers, man.
In specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant.
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true. That's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
We will talk about it. And, it's good timing. The numbers for our country are through the roof. The economic numbers, because of the election and because of tariffs and other things.
Yo, this is Trump, man.
But we've had some of the best numbers we've ever had. They were reported yesterday, the day before, and even today. The country's doing really well. I think that one of the things you'd be most interested in is that 6 months ago, we were having a hard time getting anybody to join our military. I mean, they just couldn't do it. The numbers were record low. We couldn't get people to join the military. It wasn't me. This was before I got there, the past administration. But 6 months ago, a year ago, the numbers were record low. You couldn't get them to join. That included the police. And you couldn't get them to join. Now, we just hit the highest number in the history of our country, we think, but very close, but the highest in the history of our country, recruitment, joining the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, police forces all over the country.
What did you do for that? What was the reason?
Spirit. They love
Yeah,
our
that's
country,
it.
man. You're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's it. If you have people that, because our numbers were going down, man. Lowest, and I think it was on 40 years, something like that. People didn't want to defend the United States. For reasons, personal reasons, I don't know. Politics, I don't know. And now they're up.
We have great spirit is back in our country, and it's very simple. And, it was only, Susie, 6 months ago, right, that you got reports, you're the one that released them, that you couldn't get anybody to join the military, and now we're stocked. Every service now is packed, and we have waiting lists of people trying to get in, as good as we've ever had in the history of our country. So that's an honor. That's a great honor.
Mr. President, on the war.
You've asked. You've had enough. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, so would you consider to put more sanctions on Russia? Because this discussion is going on now for weeks and months, and you tweeted about it once, but then nothing happens. So
When I see the moment when we're not going to make a deal, when this thing won't stop,
is there a deadline?
if that moment, it's in my brain, the deadline. When I see the moment where
It's in my brain. The deadline.
it's not going to stop, and I'm sure you're going to do the same thing, will be very, very, very tough. And it could be on both countries, to be honest. It takes two to tango. But we're going to be very tough. Whether it's Russia or anybody else, we're going to be very tough. That's a bloodbath that's going on over there. And when I see the moment where I say, well, they're going to just keep fighting. I gave the analogy yesterday.
Yeah, they're not
when
going
I
to stop.
spoke to
Listen,
President.
a lot of people don't understand this. they're not gonna stop. Russia's not gonna stop. Ukraine's not gonna stop. They're gonna keep at it until the last man. They're gonna keep at it, man. They're gonna keep at it. They're not gonna stop. And a lot of European countries, they understand that. They just simply understand that. It is what it is, right?
Putin had a 2-hour and 15-minute call with him. Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while.
Yeah.
And then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, maybe you're going to have to keep fighting and suffering a lot because both sides are suffering before you pull them apart, before they're able to be pulled apart. But it's a pretty known analogy.
Yeah.
You have
Sometimes
they fight.
They call just let them have it, right? They let them fight it out. Let them fight it out. I don't think Russia's gonna take Ukraine. For God, I don't think Russia's that powerful right now to do so. Now I have to admit they took a quarter of the country, more than a quarter, I will say, more than a quarter of the country of Ukraine. Right, the southern region and southeast. Southeast of the region, and they keep gaining some territory, but with a high risk, a high cost, guys. You cannot keep. This is not 1941, where you have almost 300 million people in your country. You have less than that. You have 170 million. Then your population's decreasing on top of it because they're not having kids. It's not an easy situation.
Sometimes you let them fight for a little while. You see it in hockey. You see it in sports. The referees let them go for a couple of seconds. Let them go for a little while before you pull them apart. And maybe, and I said it, and maybe that's a negative because we're saying go, but a lot of bad blood. There's some bad blood between the two. I have to deal with it, and the Chancellor has to deal with it. It's incredible. The level of, there's a great hatred between those two.
Yeah, it's very
between
big.
Those two men, but between the warring parties, great hatred.
You say and believe apparently that there is no immediate peace.
What?
That there is no immediate peace.
Nah, I don't think so.
I'd love to have immediate if I could.
But why?
If I could, but we don't have immediate. It's like
You have to,
I'd love to have that.
and that's what they call a takeaway, right? You have to take away from that. You cannot simply. You have to do a takeaway, guys. That's how it is. At some point, you have to take away, let it have it. It's not the best, right? But sometimes, because you keep pushing it, you actually doing the opposite. You're making things worse.
I'd like it to start. Right now, we would leave a room. If we knew the war could end, we'd say, forget about you guys, forget about trade, right?
Yeah.
We'd say, let's go settle it. There's some additional fighting that's going to go on. He attacked, and they attacked pretty harshly.
Mm-hmm.
They went deep into Russia. And he actually told me, I made it very clear. He said, we have no choice but to attack based on that, and it's probably not going to be pretty. I don't like it. I said, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You should stop it. But again, there's a lot of hatred. And, I'm very proud of the fact that with India and Pakistan, I was able to stop that. And those are nuclear powers. And that was getting close to being out of hand. And I spoke to some very talented people on both sides, very good people on both sides. And I said, we're dealing with you on trade, Pakistan and India right now. I said, we're not going to deal with you on trade if you're going to go shooting each other and whipping out nuclear weapons that maybe even affect us.
Yeah.
Because, that nuclear dust blows across oceans very quickly. It affects us. And I said, if you're going to do that, we're not going to do any trade deals. And you know what? I got that war stopped. Now, I hope we don't go back and we find out that they started, but I don't think they will. They were both good. They were well represented. I want to congratulate both countries because, as you know, the leader of India, who's a great guy, was here a few weeks ago. We had some great talks. We're doing a trade deal. And Pakistan, likewise, they have very very strong leadership. Some people won't like when I say that, but you know, it is what it is. And they stopped that war. Now, am I going to get credit? I'll never get credit for anything. They don't give me credit for anything, but nobody else could have done it. I stopped it. I was very proud of that. I wish we could do the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. And at some point it'll happen. I believe that. And if it doesn't happen, or if I see somebody's out of line, if Russia's out of line, you'll be amazed how tough. Remember this. They like to say that I'm friends with Russia. I'm not friends with anybody. I'm friends with you. I'm not friends with them. I want the right thing to happen for our country, for everybody, for humanity. But I'm the one that stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Until I came along, nobody ever heard, not one person in this room ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You probably did,
Yes,
because
I
it
did.
went to Germany. He's the only one
Knowing
that
that
heard
this
of it.
was a mistake.
But
Yeah,
I stopped
right.
it. I stopped it. Yeah, and you've said that openly.
Yeah.
It was a mistake because, and I used to go with Angela. I'd say, well, wait a minute. We're spending all this money to defend you against Russia, and then you're giving Russia billions of dollars a month. What kind of a deal is that? You know, which was, but you said it better than anybody else. I appreciate it. But I'm the one that stopped it.
Okay,
And
so
that
the
was the
scene
biggest economic
so far,
development job, if you want to call
so far, Chancellor Friedrich and Trump, they understand each other very well, guys. They understand each other very well. I think there's might be some things in the back, right? Beside all these theater, right? This is a theater that a lot of people might not even know.
it that, in the history, think of it, in the history of Russia, that was a massive, it's the biggest pipeline in the world. Going to go all over Europe, not only to Germany. You know, they were Germany, but then they were branching off all over to Europe. Nobody ever heard of, not one person of you heard of it. And I stopped it. It was dead. And then they say, I'm friends with Putin. I got along with him. He respected me, I respected him. It would have never happened. But I stopped Nord Stream 2. When Biden came in, almost the first week, he approved it. He let it be built. And then they say that I wasn't tough on Russia. Putin said to me, you know, you're not tough on Russia. You stopped the biggest, most important job we've ever done. You stopped it. And Biden came in and he let it be built.
Damn.
And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget the day I had it totally stopped. They weren't building. They gave up on it. They weren't able to. And then Biden came in and he let him build. I couldn't believe it. Okay, one or two questions more, please. Any questions? Any question for the Chancellor?
Continue.
Go ahead, for the Chancellor.
That would be one.
I like his answers much better.
It's a well-educated man. Yeah, I like him.
Towards Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm with Ukraine. We just signed a big deal on rare earth with Ukraine, and we want to. I want to. You know what? I'm for stopping killing. Really, that's what I'm for. Again, a war that would have never started, should have never started. I want to see the killing stop. We spent $350 billion, much
It's a lot
more
of
than
money.
Europe, but Europe spent a lot also. And they spent way over $100 billion.
Yeah.
So you're talking about close to $500 billion.
Half a
went
trillion
into
dollars.
That whole thing. And it's not even the money, and I know with you too, it's a lot of money, but it's the death that's being caused. We went to the Middle East. I went last week to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. That's many, many times. That's 30, 40 times, 50 times more than what we're talking about. It's think of that, $5.1 trillion of investment with one trip that lasted 4 days. So it's not the money. It's a little the money, but not the money, the big thing. The big thing is the death. The
Too many.
death of, and really
I don't
the
know why people
decimation
don't
here.
really understand this, man. But you have to think about this. Europe already suffered way too much in the 20th century. Way too much, guys. Western to Eastern Europe, it suffered way too much. Millions of Europeans got deleted, bad, good and bad. It doesn't really help for more Europeans to just go delete it, man. It doesn't, guys. It does not help. It doesn't.
You've lost a whole culture. You know, Ukraine had the most beautiful turrets. They call them turrets, the little towers, beautiful towers, the most beautiful in the world. They're all now laying on their side, blown to smithereens. It'll never happen
Crazy,
again.
man.
They've taken away the culture of a country. They've taken away the heritage of a country. It's a terrible thing. But most importantly, again, is the death. 5,000 plus people a week, soldiers, are being killed. He doesn't want that, and I don't want that. And one more. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, do you support the Graham bill on putting high tariffs on
I
China?
have not looked at it, but they'll be guided by me. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're going to be guided by me. No, I haven't looked at it. It's a bill on sanctions, etc. I'm a very quick study. At the right time, I'll do what I want to do. But it could very well be okay. I'll have to see. But they're waiting for me to decide on what to do, and I'll know maybe very soon. It's a harsh bill. Yeah, very harsh.
Wow.
I would like to have a question to the Chancellor as well, because do you agree with the analogy the President made on the war between Russia and Ukraine as being a fight between two kids? Is that how you view that as well?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What do you actually want the U.S. President to do in this?
Well, I think we both agree on this war and how terrible this war is going on, and we are both looking for ways to stop it very soon. And I told the President before we came in that he is the key person in the world who can really do that now by putting pressure on Russia. And we will have this debate later on again, how we can proceed jointly between the Europeans and the Americans. And I think we are having the duty to do something on that now to stop it after 3.5 years.
Yeah, it's too many years, man.
Look at the kids.
Yeah, guys, too many years. But this kind of conflict has gone way too far.
The kids which were kidnapped from Ukraine to Russia. This is all terrible. And so we are talking about instruments, measures, what we can do. And my personal view is clear on that. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we are trying to get them stronger and stronger just to make Putin stop this war. And this is our approach.
We get satellite pictures of the war
yeah.
and you don't even like to look at them, right?
It's terrible.
So
it's really
bodies, arms, heads, legs, all
I
over
should
the
not be.
place. You'd
I should
never
not be
see
laughing about this, man. It's just the way he says it, though.
arms, heads,
Oh my God.
legs, all over the place. You've never seen anything like it. It's so
It's
ridiculous.
bad. It's bad, guys.
And this is only by Russian weapons against Ukraine. This had never happened with Ukraine weapons against Russia. Never. Ukraine is only targeting military targets, not civilians, not private, not energy infrastructure. So this is the difference, and that's the reason why we are trying to do more on Russia, how to stop this war.
Well, in this case, I'm talking about the battlefield, the soldiers on soldiers. But you could also say that, too, with the cities.
Yep.
The cities are
Yep.
being hit also. So it's a terrible, terrible thing. All right.
You have to be careful here. See, the Chancellor I understand he wants to go full pro-Ukraine. I understand, and that's okay. That's okay. But when you're trying to get a peace deal, you cannot do that. And see how Trump tried to not correct him, but align him a little bit. Like, bro, you cannot be saying this because we're trying to get a peace deal. You see? Demonizing Putin too many times doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. Doesn't work because it hasn't worked, guys. It hasn't worked in the last, 15 years. It doesn't work. And Trump, you see, he's trying to bring him. I'm not talking about civilian. I'm talking between soldier to soldier. He's trying to, you have to be careful here, kind of a thing,
Somebody said autopen. Did I hear the word autopen?
I'm just curious.
Because I think it's the biggest scandal maybe in the last 100 years in this country. So when I hear that word, I think it has to be discussed because the fake news will try and hide it, and we can't do that.
Well,
But
that's
go
what I'm
ahead.
asking. Have you uncovered any evidence that anything specific was signed without President Biden's knowledge or by other people in the administration acting illegally?
Well, I don't think Biden would know whether or not he signed it.
I'm asking if you've uncovered any of that information.
No, but I've uncovered, the human mind. I was in a debate with the human mind, and I didn't think he knew what the hell he was doing. So, it's just one of those things, one of those problems.
Yeah,
we can't ever allow that to
There's so
happen.
much conspiracy behind Biden, guys. Just crazy, man. I can't even talk about it here.
happened to our country, the danger our country was in. And I know some of the people that worked with him, radical left, horrible people. And I could give you the name of some of the people that used the auto pen, because I'm here and I ask questions about people that were here also. There are a lot of people that were here when that happened, and they're here right now, and they'll answer your question very accurately. But I know some of the people that used that auto pen, and those are not the people that had the same ideology as Joe Biden. These were radical left lunatics that used that, and they didn't get elected. He didn't get elected either, actually. Thank you very much, everybody.
Oh man, I wanted to. I wish.
Thank you very much.
I wish if Mr. Merz spoke a little bit more. I think a lot of reporters wanted to hear more about Trump and what he has to say about a lot of these situations. But you also want to hear more about what's going on from the perspective of the Europeans. It's easy to just, as an American, just have a perspective of what's going on in Europe, right? Because remember, I'm an American. From my American perspective, it is based on the opinions of a lot of news outlets, of Twitter, so on and so forth, right? But also maybe get a little bit more of that chancellor. Anyway, man, this is it, guys. This is what it is, man. When it comes down to Ukraine, I'm not pro or against. I think Ukraine has the right to defend themselves. They have the right to defend themselves. What the hell are you gonna do if somebody attacks you? You have to defend yourself. I hope that really help. I hope it really stopped, man, because I have all the reason to believe why it needs to be stopped, right? I have all the reasons why. There's all the things that really worries me, right? Worries me. And we cannot keep losing men. We can't, guys. We cannot keep losing men. Men really keep the society moving, guys. Sadly, that's what it is. They're the one, building, working with the infrastructure, the electricity, we need men. We need men. And they're just getting deleted left and right. That's not okay. Let me know what you guys think, guys. I would love to hear you guys' opinions. I will see you next one.